Whoa, I guess I'm here. Yeah, I didn't mean to hit the button quite yet, I don't think. Anyway, a couple of videos to respond to, perhaps, maybe, possibly. Conference report is done. He's writing a AN novel. He calls it anyway an anti-natalist novel. I don't know if that's really what it's going to be, but whatever. Yeah, he's just way too literate, for my taste. His brain just starts glazing over. So now he's metaphoring it to rabbits and owls, and he's really fixated on this rabbit brain thing, that somehow it's meaningful that their brain, the two hemispheres aren't as connected as they are in our brains, and somehow this means perceptually the world's a different place and all that stuff, and I guess to some extent it may well be, and it may well just have to do with the fact that, rabbits are the ultimate prey animal. It's all about detecting, reacting, overreacting even. That'll keep you alive. You really can't have too many inhibitions. You can't sit around thinking about it, because you got to start running almost before trouble happens. You have to be already moving in some other direction. So anyway, that's the side issue. I don't mind animal stories, but I guess they got to be more like Winnie the Pooh or something. You got to be you can't start talking about brain parts in stories. I mean, it just no, it's not going to work for me. Overstated dualities and all this singularities. I mean, these words are used. I don't see any function to them because it just creates first, there's this elitist assumption that people know the meaning of these philosophy words, so I just don't see the use in that. But that's just me. I mean, just get to the point, sort of. But telling a story, you got to work up to it, and that's always the tricky part. Is you just can't, your instinct is to your desire is just to get to it, but you do have to torment and tease a little through the foreplay of the setup, and that's good storytelling. But I have to work on something likewise when I get to it. Who knows? So anyway, there was a comment I wanted to respond to, but I just noticed that Gray Guy already responded to it, so I will read his response first, just for the heck of it. The fact that we are confronted by music, art, etc., and seek to explore such avenues is just another result of crude dilemma created by sentience. Art may be complex, but people's personal definitions of unique and incredible experiences is rather crude and arbitrary. Crude and arbitrary. It's key terms, really. So anyway, I'll read the guy's original comment. Our intelligence has only one function, and that is to satisfy crude dilemmas created by our sentient being. That was my statement in the video. His response is, I don't know how you can defend this position. Well, I'll show you how. The human intellect has the ability... All right, now you're talking about intellect, and now you're going to talk about enjoying. You see the problem already. You haven't made the distinction between what your intellect does, your intelligence, and what your emotional character is doing. And you really have to make these distinctions. I'm talking about the part of the brain, the reflexive reaction part, that is capable of doing logic, that's capable of analyzing the psychology. Like we can do it all the time. We seem to be able to do it quite easily with children or animals. We can look at their psychology and we can understand why they're nervous or why they're impatient or why they're this or why they're that or upset or blah, blah, blah. And we're quite capable of making a logical understanding of their psychology. Yet when our own psychology is producing these effects, all of a sudden you call it intellect to feel, and that's not intellect. So again, I'll just repeat it. The human intellect has the ability to pursue and enjoy, and absolutely pursue and enjoy, an absolutely unfathomable amount of unique and incredible experiences. So this is rhetoric you're going to say I'm supposed to make something out of. Unique, incredible, unfathomable. Come on. What's an incredible experience? Right? I mean, it's always a subjective definition by You go from person to person to person to person, you get a different definition of what incredible experience is in a lot of respects. I mean, for most people, pleasure, satisfaction of a desire or need, it's an incredible experience. If a car runs over your foot, it's an incredible experience when it goes off your foot. Being relieved of pain is one of the most incredible experiences there can be, I think. Really hard pain, it just goes away, and this is an incredible experience. But yeah, we have the cliche ones, good meals, good sex. These are incredible experiences. So what does this again have to do with intelligence? I don't think it has anything to do with intelligence, conceptualization of value themes, understanding of the logic of our existence. And there is logic to it. There are, it's around Earth, in the universe, solar system, gravity. We can understand the mechanisms. And there are, just like there are mechanisms holding the universe together, there are mechanisms that conform our psychology. And you're just sitting there again. This is the same, excuse my French, crap of almost, it's the God emotion. You're not looking at the emotions and understanding them for what they do, where they came from, their origins through evolution, what these mechanisms, why they exist, and understanding them for their true gladiator character. They're part of what makes us effective machines in the environment, effective survivors over time, is the fact that we are capable of these attachments and driven by these mechanisms, that we have these deprivations for more perfect, to fantasize better. That's part of the mechanism. It's almost like a insidious Adam Smith invisible hand that's manipulating us through our life. Is this ego that says bigger horns, bigger life, bigger, 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 bigger. It's always demanding more strength and power. So anyway, for example, music and art. Well, whatever. Again, I'm trying to have a conversation about what life is, and you want to talk about sappy little, what makes your dick hard, so to speak. No offense, but that's just a mechanism. That's one of the need mechanisms. You don't understand that you need music and art in your life. Some people don't need any because they live in a world that's already interesting enough. Where it's so imperfect that they don't need some vision of perfection to motivate them, because their life is they're living on a garbage pile already, and the obvious agenda of just getting rid of the garbage doesn't necessitate any need for art or music. But for other people, maybe less, where the physical environment is less demanding on them. Yes, our brain creates the fantasies of more perfect, and so then we start to get lost in music and art. And I'm doing this thing because it is something that just catches you, gets you caught up in it. You get lost in it, and it's nothing more than fantasy. Most music and art is just related to fantasy, and within these two words alone is a further infinity to explore. Well, I mean, it's an infinity of what? Well, you could just say there's a trillion ways to masturbate. Well, yeah, there's a trillion ways to masturbate. There's lots of things we can do to create moments of gratification or satisfaction inside our physical being. That's not the subject. The subject, I'm not claiming you will never be capable of feeling good. What I'm saying is that the mechanism that makes you feel good first makes you feel bad. First puts you in a state of need and deprivation that didn't need to exist. The fact that you need, these things in your life is part of the insidious mechanism that attaches you and addicts you to the life. So of course it's exactly what I'm talking about, as being the sickness, and you're calling the sickness something magnificent and magical, and I'm saying, well, let's be clinical. Let's have a rational definition of what it really is, and what it really is a way of your brain diminishing your reality so you will get off your ass and do something, that you will be drawn towards something, that you will want to move towards something. And that's where the mechanism comes from. It keeps us from being complacent, because we're not designed to be complacent. We're designed to go out into the world every day and fight for our existence. For example, okay, that said, if you would approach issues with the calmness you did in this video, I wouldn't find you so obnoxious. Yeah, well, whatever. I'm not going to again defend anything about my personality. It's just my personality. But the point is, if somebody's going to insult me or insult the character or intelligence of my ideas, I'm going to fight back. And if they're going to throw all kinds of malicious and evil arguments at me, I mean, really illegal they're going to take brass knuckles into the ring and, steel-toed boots that they're going to try to kick me in the balls with. Yes, sometimes I'm going to get really hostile because I want to have a nice, clean argument, and these fuckers are bringing the dirt, the slanders and the innuendos and all the other bullshit that they get away with because they don't use a swear word. And I have enough I'm personally alive enough to be emotionally in need of preserving my integrity and fighting for it. I have enough balls left to fight for my existence, my personal one. I'm fighting for ideas, but those ideas, there's still a soldier who's fighting for the ideas. All right, I mean, I'm still the messenger still has a reality, and I can't change the fact that I'm a messenger. Yes, but it's not what I am. I mean, somebody who's a messenger doesn't live their whole life as a messenger. And maybe when I'm on duty, I have to control myself more. But I mean, there's a certain amount of crap you take, and then you say "fuck you" to your boss, and say, "fuck you." And sometimes I'm going to say "fuck you." Yeah, I'm going to do that in defense of myself. So anyway, another guy made a response video. DIMA Skol, SOKOL. So maybe you can read that. I don't know if you can read that. I can't read that. Anyway, nice enough chap. From some Scandinavian country, I would presume by the accent. But anyway, he asked a couple of questions. They weren't. One was on suicide, and I've already done I had a whole YouTube channel on suicide called Graceful Exit, and did all my explanations of the right that we should have to die. And I've said it in videos before that I think. It's not my job to make people live for a cause. I mean, that's kind of stupid. So obviously if somebody's really in pain, they have to make a decision about what are the odds of them accomplishing anything with what's left of their life. And that's always hard to detect. I can't even, you can't write it down on a piece of paper and say, okay, well, I converted this many people and that's good enough and that means I had a positive life. You're assured of nothing. So I can't. How can I make the decision for somebody else? I don't want to make it, and I have no interest in making it. I'm just saying, when I have to argue with people who say, why don't I kill myself, I'm just going to make the obvious argument that, well, in the first place, it's killing yourself is complicated because you do have other people that are dependent. You're part of the structure of their life, and it will be disruptive to them for you not to be here. Even though you may be a negative influence on them, they will articulate to you that they would rather have that negative influence than to be voided of it. But so that makes things tricky. There's the physical act itself, which is kind of not pleasant or fun. It's always something like you put things off in life. I'm sure people don't go to every dental appointment they should or every doctor appointment because they just say, I can put that off for 6 months. Every test they probably should have, I can wait till next year. Because we like to put things off, and death sounds like something worth putting off. The dying process doesn't seem like it's going to be all that much fun. I'm not too thrilled with the idea of it. And the third reason is I think I probably have something more that I can accomplish here in terms of service to what I believe are my values. I mean, I'm not going to prevent harm coming to sentient beings by being dead. I'm not going to be a very good advocate for vegetarianism or antinatalism being dead. I mean, unless I die in some spectacular way, which may be part of the equation and may be necessary in some day in the future. Because that's what it takes, apparently. Whatever. So that's your answer. The other question was one of these value questions, I think. He said something about, you answered a lot of your own questions, so I don't think I really need to answer some of them because you kind of already know the answers. But this idea that there's no value once you eliminate sentience, and you understand that concept. The only catch would be that even in a mechanical world, if creating sentience is still possible, there's still value, because there's value in not creating sentience. So, I mean, if a machine were going to interact in an environment in some way, and a non-sentient machine, and through that process was going to create sentience or a feeling, now value's already back in the equation just because their action can lead to harm in the future. So the same scenario still exists. Even if you eradicate all living things from the universe, if you still have mechanical processes that are capable of creating living things or feeling things, then there's still value in the universe, because there's still a value rule that it would be best not to mess with this dangerous substance that can create this harm effect. Yeah. So I think that's enough of an answer. I don't know if it really matters one way or the other. I mean, I'm not too concerned about what remains of value equations in a world where sentience doesn't exist. I mean, to me it doesn't. But again, how I can't even conceive of what value would be made out of it in some way relate to something that's capable of being harmed, and the only thing that's capable of being harmed in some kind of real way. I mean, I don't mean like physically harmed, like the wheel falls off your car. Your car can be called harmed, but it's a misuse of the word harmed, in my opinion, because harm can only relate to things that can be in some way harmed in their conscious experience. It has to be an experience for there to be harm. And without experiences taking place in a purely mechanical, non-sentient universe, obviously it doesn't really matter how much stuff blows up or how much stuff falls off or how much stuff crashes into what, because there's nothing being negatively impacted through the creation of the intrinsically negative substance of negative conscious experience, unpleasant conscious experience, hurtful conscious experience, traumatic, whatever the right word would be. Lots of words. I mean, that's unfortunate. I have to get more consistent in my use of words, find the best words and stick with them, perhaps. Because there's so many ways to describe an unpleasantness. Unpleasant sensation has a whole lot of different manifestations, from severe pain to more ambiguous feelings of sickness or unwellness, or it just gets very complicated in terms of the nuance of what our emotions create and what our body senses, what it actually senses. It's hard to describe something like, you take certain medications and they give you a taste of metal in your mouth or something, and it's just such a weird, but it can be on all kinds of scales of nasty depending on how strong it is. It's like a smell. A smell can be overwhelming, suffocatingly too heavy, or else it can be beautiful if it's just the right amount of that smell, or just a little bit of that smell can be just interesting, but too much of that smell and it's oppressive and suffocating. So anyway, I think that's probably enough of a video for the morning. Still no power yet, but got water boiling for my coffee, so I can get by. Smoked all my damn cigarettes, which pisses me off. I really can't be trusted with them. They don't last very long. So, anyway, that's my problem. My addiction. One of my addictions. Cat. Alright, so till next time, and such, and whatnot. Yeah. Hit the button, mostly. I mostly did. This camera just requires a